Hi guys again. I posted a video yesterday? I don't know. Yesterday, I think. But I wanted to do another video today. I see a lot, I don't know, I just see this all over Instagram that Halo 4 is like the worst of the worst. It's lower than Halo 5, and I keep seeing just all these really like negative posts about Halo 4. And so I'm gonna do a video on why I think Halo 4 is actually one of the better games of the series. And I'm gonna get a bunch of hate mail and everything for this, but I really wanted to go over this because I just have like a really strong bond with Halo 4. I'm not saying it's better than Halo 1 though. Halo 1, like, I'm not even gonna go into that because I could sit there and talk about it for like an hour on how intricate and beautiful the first game was and how it really is better than every other Halo game. But maybe I'll say that for a different video. So, one of the better Halo games, I think, is Halo 4. And I have some just like reasons why, just little touch points on why I think it's just a fun game in general. I don't know why people give so much hate and just disgust for it. Maybe it's just because they were Bungie fanboys and they were like, I don't want 343 touching my Bungie game. But I don't know. So I'm just going to go off of what I feel, since I'm not like biased really towards any specific Halo game except for Halo 5. I hate that. Get rid of it. The only thing that's slightly good is the multiplayer-ish. But I just want to go over like kind of what I feel like. So I'm going to kind of start with the cons. Like, I'm not sure about you guys, but I really hated the Halo armor that came out of Halo 4. Like, I was like all about the bulky look, the COD piece being there. Like, I just loved how Halo like 2 and 3's armor looked really, really good. And like Halo 1's armor was really good, especially like the anniversary one. I feel like they did a really good remake. But I was just really disappointed when the first came out. It kind of grew on me. I've pictures of it, so I'm looking at it right now. It kind of grew on me eventually, but I was really disappointed at first about how the armor looked. And also the start of the game. Yes, like, I'm not talking about like the prologue, or not the prologue, but like the start of the game where you're sitting there watching Halsey. Oh, that gave me chills, by the way. I'll talk about that later. Oh, that was such a good start. But I'm talking about like the start of the game. When you get out, I just feel like for being the start of the game, it was really poor graphics. Like the explosions, the ships, when the planet scanned, Chief, when the planet scanned the ship before, like you take like a few steps and you turn down that corridor into that room that shows kind of like a holographic diagram, that when they scanned it, it just looked really poor. And I'm like, for the start of the game, I feel like you really should put in that effort to make that impact, to make people like, oh my gosh, I want to keep playing this. But I didn't really feel that. Also, I don't know, I feel like they could have added just a few more things to make it truly interesting and make me just draw me in. The only reason I really was drawn in because it was Halo and I was playing it for the first time. It was the new Halo that's coming out. So I don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of the start. I did like just some of the qualities of it, like when it was shooting off the missile, that was cool. And how it's more interactive, like how you have to touch things and you see your character actually move in multiple different parts of the story, which I really appreciated. I thought that was just cool. But that's just me. So those are like the main cons I was really just not liking about Halo 4. But after that, I feel like it was pretty uphill. So I'm going to start with like the graphics. I don't care whoever says this, Halo's 4 graphics is way better than Halo 5 graphics. I don't care. Like, we will like bring out like pixels. We will actually do the math. It's better, especially the cutscenes. I don't know why they thought they just shouldn't do good cutscenes in Halo 5. But I don't know. Halo's 4 graphics, when Halsey was just like, don't underestimate him, I was like, oh my gosh. I was flipping out. I was like, you don't underestimate Chief. Oh, okay, but sorry, just little fangirl coming out. I thought that was so beautiful. I thought that was a real actor for like the first like 30 seconds. Then I realized that was all like CGI animation and everything. It was the coolest thing ever. That was just me. I loved it so much. And then like the cutscenes at the end. Don't get me started with the graphics at the end. I gotta save that because that's for a different point. But the graphics, the way the grass moved, just every little thing, it had the feeling that you were on this amazing, cool planet. And you felt like you were there. And you saw these pylons in the background that you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. But like Halo 5, I'm not even going to talk about Halo 5. Let's just pretend it never existed. Another thing, body language and emotions. Honestly, Master Chief did not have that much dialogue. He didn't. Like, and I can post all the dialogue later, but he didn't have that much dialogue, okay? So, the amount of body language they had to put in it, just the slight things. When he was, like, holding Cortana, and she was like, I'm fine. You could see him just kind of, like, move his head like, no, you're not. And he just, like, just little things like that. And at the end, when he's seeing Cortana do these things, like, you can kind of hear the tone in his voice and the emotions. And, like, when she's splitting, he's just like, that's not okay. And at the very end, when he's sitting in, like, the box, you can just, he's almost in denial. You can't see it on his face. You can't see, he's just a big clunky piece of armor. But you can, just by the slight relaxation in his hands, he starts almost like panicking. He's like, no, this is not happening. This is not happening. I've had complete control of every situation before. I'm not letting this happen. And it still happens. And when he's sitting there in space, just when he's like slowly floating and he kind of slightly looks down, you know what is in his head. You know what's happening. You can read every single emotion without a word of dialogue, a word. And it's just amazing. It's brilliant. And then like when he looks up at the Pelican, you can honestly tell like he doesn't even want the Pelican to pick him up. He's so distraught that he just wants to die. And you can just tell he's like, oh, great, a Pelican found me. Like, what's the point? It's so beautiful. And the emotions, like, when he's talking to Lasky, you can just see him, you can actually watch it. When they kind of show his whole entire body, he starts almost, like, grabbing his leg a little bit. It's basic reaction, basic human reaction. When you grab yourself and when, like, people start touching themselves, they're nervous, scared, and they don't know what to do. They're hurting, and they do that to console themselves. That's why also people touch their faces when they're nervous, and they go like this because it consoles them. So, like, I just thought that small, minute details just made the game. I feel like so many people overlooked that because they don't know, like, basic psychology, like how I do. But it's just brilliant. So beautiful. Such a beautiful story. Okay, I don't care about what anyone else says. It's beautiful. So that's, like, the emotions. And then at the end, when you're just seeing his armor just clunk off, it's like the weight, he's shedding that weight. Because you know how Lasky was like, you know, you're not like a machine. And then he was like, yeah, she told me that once. It's like he's trying to take that machine feel and trying to be more human. And that's why you see him act up so much in Halo 5, like almost like a teen going through, like, I don't know, like something like emotional, and he starts just running and doing whatever he feels like because he's trying to be more of like a human. He's trying to remove that weight of him trying to save the universe and be this machine and be this weapon for humanity instead of being humanity's next step. So I just thought it was, and the, okay, I'll get to the ending in a second. Oh, but also the lore. Yes, the other Halo games had lore in them, but not as much as Halo 4. There was, like, sorry, my husband just got home, so I'm kind of distracted. Just how they brought in Requiem, how they brought in the Shield Worlds. Yeah, Halo 3 kind of touched, like, here and there, if you went to, like, different terminals, different hacks, you could get in touch with Mendicant Bias, but you never really got truly into the lore, unless if you dug down deep into it. Halo 4 brought all those, like, suspicions and everything forward for you to actually, like, confirm what's happening. If you haven't read the books or anything, it brings a lot of just lore into it. And what's game without, like, the actual story and the meaning behind it? So it's really important to bring that in to the story instead of just leave it out and have it just a run and gun game. That's kind of how I felt like Halo 2 was, just run and gun, and there wasn't a lot of just solid, I don't know, story to it. There was, but there wasn't. That's also why I like Halo 1 so much. It's just so much. There was so much there. The ending. When the Didact was talking, that was probably the most emotional point for me. Obviously, besides Master Chief just breaking down, I cried like a little girl. I was like, no, Master Chief, it's okay. It's gonna be fine. I just wanted to hug him and console him. But the ending, when he was talking, there was a lot there. There was a lot of, like, foreshadowing. There was so much history that came with that. He basically was telling the history of his people and telling what he thought, and like he thought he was gonna win. There was no way these puny humans could ever beat him, but he was beaten. He was defeated, and it was just such an emotional ending. I'll have to go back. I might have to do a complete video on just the ending of it because it was so brilliant. And not including the ending of, like, the game and, like, how Cortana died. And I feel like it was important because, yeah, we lost Johnson and we lost all these other people, but you need tragedy to make a game. I mean, yeah, it's gonna sound like you need tragedy to make a game good. You need to be attached to characters and then have them ripped from you to play with those emotional ties. And that's how a beautiful game is made. That is how an amazing story is made. So, yes, it was just devastating. That's why I kind of wish they just ended at Halo 4 and they went back and did, like, a precursor game, a Forerunner game, human game, like, where you just were in the wars. That would be cool. But I just feel like they should have ended at Halo 4 because it was a fantastic ending. Maybe they could do it without Master Chief in it, and they had him as, like, a side, kind of like, oh, like, he's doing this, and then maybe later come back and kind of touch on him a little bit, but I don't know. I mean, I'm really nervous where Halo Infinite's gonna be. I'm crossing my fingers. Then the diversity in playing styles. So, like, just the feeling of different, like, levels. Like, nice example is Shutdown. You're having to go to, like, different areas and, like, checkpoints, and it's almost like you're, like, holding the fortress down while you're going. It's cool. It's awesome. It has that feel of, like, okay, like, almost like defend the flag type feel, but not really. But it has, like, these different game feels into it. And the composer, it feels like Firefight when you're in that huge, I can't believe Mantis. Thank you. Can't think today. Mantis, and you're just, like, plowing away at these people. It literally feels like you're in firefight, and I love firefight, so it was a fantastic contribution to that game. And each level has that thing that makes you feel like you're almost in a different game type, so it doesn't get boring. It doesn't, you're like, oh, I'm just playing this. It's fantastic. The way that they did it is amazing. In Midnight, when you're flying, that was so cool. Oh my gosh, that was so cool. And you're like flying, and it feels like you're like in those old-fashioned games. I was like having so much fun, but I would always try to just like go really fast, and I'd end up blowing up. And so I'm like, ah. Especially when you go into that V area and it starts like closing in on you, that sucks. I just feel like it was so important to add those different feelings, different game aspects. And like the first one, you're like exploring around, and you can find like Covenant Airways, and you can like listen in on them, and then you can find all these like hidden weapons all over the map, and it's just so cool when you first get into Requiem. Just every little like area has almost like a different minigame feel to it. That's just, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I loved it. Then also, Cortana. I mean, personally, I thought Halo 2 Remastered Cortana is like the peak of just beautiful, luscious, gorgeous woman that's from heaven. But a lot of people really like Halo 4 Cortana, and I like how they portrayed her. They didn't portray her as this just supermodel looking girl. Like, they had like a gap between her teeth. She had kind of like a chubbier looking face. She looked like a realistic woman, and she looked gorgeous. She had those curves. She wasn't wearing a bra, so I was like, ooh, got those tatas hanging out. But she was like gorgeous, and she didn't have to have this like striking features to look pretty. And I really like that. Like, I love how they did her character design, and how like they had her walk, and just her character, and how she talked, and how she held herself. But yet she was becoming more dependent on Chief as like a, not only like a friend and a almost like a coworker, how you depend on a coworker, but also as like a little bit more. Like, she needed him in her life, and she wanted to protect him at all costs. And it was just so beautiful as like they defended each other as partners. And it was just, I don't know, I just thought it was a beautiful story. I mean, I could go on for 30 minutes, but I'm already at 17, almost 18 minutes, and I don't think you guys want to listen to me talk that long. But personally, that's what I think. It's a gorgeous story. I feel like people don't give it enough credit just because the multiplayer wasn't as good. I still really enjoyed the multiplayer, but that's just because I played a lot with my friends, and anytime you play with your friends, it's really fun. Yeah, I was disappointed that they didn't have Bloom or D-Scope. Bloom or D-Scope, and they just kind of messed up how like spawn capturing was, and like map control. But I mean, overall, the story was so elegant, and I don't know why people give it so much crap, because I loved it just as much as I loved like Halo 3. I had the same feeling, except I was slightly more excited to play each map, because there was like this secondary like mini game type feel into it, and so it made me not just drag on and get bored of playing a map over and over and over and over again. Like, after like the 50th time I played Halo 3, I got a little bored of it, because I just knew where everything was. I knew like what enemies were where. But Halo 4, it just had that kind of little spice to it that it needed. But that's how I feel. Tell me in the chat how you guys feel. You're probably gonna be like, oh my gosh, you're not a real Halo fan, you suck. But that's just mine. I just feel like people oppress that game too much, and it's really honestly beautiful. But again, let me know in the chat. Let me know how you guys feel. Let me know what video you want me to do next. I'm kind of just wondering what I should dabble on, or if I should really dig deep into something. If I really need to dig deep into something, give me a few weeks to do a lot of research, and then I'll come back with stacks of books and sticky notes everywhere, and I'll let you guys know. I also was wondering how you guys would feel if I did a workout series called Working Out with Chief, where I dress up in my Halo armor and I go to the park and work out. And do just like a basic workout that everyone could do, like even if like you're 5 years old, or if you're like super overweight, or if you just don't want to strain yourself too much. I totally got that. Like I was really heavy, so I understand that I would walk up the stairs and be like, okay, hold on. So I still kind of am that way, but I've been eating a lot of Twinkies lately, so I don't know, it might be that. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about that idea. I've also been kind of brainstorming a little bit of other ideas, so check out my Instagram and I'll let you guys know what kind of ideas I'm going to come out with for different series. I'm probably going to move this to a weekly basis type thing once I kind of get all my ideas out, and I'll probably just do deep lore sessions. And I might bring in some people for podcasts that are also a little bit more experienced in this topic, that have been talking about like this stuff for years. Also, if you guys haven't, if you like this stuff and you haven't heard of Hidden Experia, I think that's what his name, I'm terrible at pronouncing things, go check him out. He's fantastic. He's pretty much how I really got into Halo lore. I mean, I've always been into it, but I like really dig deep into it and kind of discover for myself. So just check him out if you guys haven't checked him out. Maybe, hopefully, if I get big enough, I can bring him onto this and we could just do a 2-hour podcast just talking about everything. That'd be so awesome. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for your support. Go check out my Instagram if you want to see more of this stuff. And then you can comment a little bit more and be a little more active if you want to be active in that. And I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for watching.